Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, I'm super thankful for you being here today. I hope that you had a great Monday and I hope that you slept well last night. And I pray that this morning has just been good so far and blessed. I pray that you spend some time with God in prayer and in the Bible. And if this is it, man, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be that time for you in the morning. If you're new here, welcome. And I'm super thankful for you being here. I'm super thankful for just the time to get to speak into your life. And I pray that God starts a fire in your heart this morning. I pray that there's a fresh wind, just breathing into you today through this video, through what God is using us to do, using me to do. And again, I'm thankful for you being here. This morning, we are looking at Proverbs chapter 7. If you missed it, we went through and read the whole chapter last Saturday, so go back and check that out. This morning, we're going to be looking at verses 6 through 12, and I can pull them up on the screen here. So Proverbs chapter 7, 6 through 12. And we're just going to kind of read 6 through 9, first of all, kind of talk about it a little bit, and then jump in through 10 through 12. So it reads, "For at the window of my house I looked through the lattice, and I saw among the simple, I perceived among the youth, a young man devoid of understanding, passing along the street near her corner, and he took the path to her house, in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night." So as a skilled storyteller, it reads, and we're looking at enduringword.com, the commentary for it over Proverbs chapter 7. There'll be a link in the description of this video to that. Check them out. They provide great commentary over Proverbs, over several other books of the Bible, and I've really enjoyed going through that. So it reads, as a skilled storyteller, Solomon explained how one day he looked out of his window and saw a man passing along the street. The man was simple, he was young, and he was devoid of understanding. And haven't we all been there? Simple as in Proverbs 1:4 and Proverbs 1:22. This isn't stupidity, but inexperience and gullibility. The simple are uneducated in ways of wisdom and need instructions. Among the youth, it goes on to say, a young man. The idea is repeated twice for emphasis here. The man doesn't have the experience of years to help guide him in the path of wisdom. He has all the passions, energy, and overconfidence of a youth, and none of the wisdom of decades can bring. Of course, it's not only a young man who faces the challenges of purity. Men and women of every age have their own challenges to pure living, yet these are often more severely felt in the life of a young man. And it goes on to, excuse me, the world tells us to read. This is a little further down here in this commentary, but the world tells us, have a good time when you are young, get it out of your system. When you are older, you can settle down and be religious and proper. Yet God's wisdom makes it clear, or should make a huge difference in the life of young men. God wants to spare the bondage, to spare the young men of bondage and sin. This reflects upon the power and experience of our habits. Surrender by any temptation. Transfer it from the realm of mental contemplation to life experience, and that temptation instantly becomes much more difficult to resist in the future. Each successive experience or of surrender to temptation builds a habit, reinforced not only spiritually, but also by brain chemistry. Such ingrained habits are more and more difficult to break, the more they are experienced, and it is almost impossible to break such habits without replacing them with another habit. And that's so true. If I could just stop here for just a second. My men's group, we just went through last semester a book by Craig Groeschel called Winning the War in Your Mind. And if you get a chance, check the book out. Read it. It is a powerful book. It talks about just how that these temptations can build these habits, and how that we can form pathways in our brains that once we start going down the road of, say, drinking, and we do it once, and then it becomes easier, and it becomes easier, and it becomes easier because we build these neural pathways in our brain. And then to try to come back later on and break these pathways is very difficult and very hard to do. And we have to relearn truth, and we have to relearn the, as Craig Rochelle talks about, the truths that we can find in the Bible of who we're called to be. And we talked about yesterday that 1 in 3 men will view pornography this week. 1 in 3 Christian men, 1 in 3 men that sat in the church last Sunday will view pornography this week. It's addicting. It's powerful, and it's tearing up the lives of many men out there. And that becomes a habit. That becomes a neural pathway in the brain that is very, very hard to break. And we have to change our ways. We have to change the truths that we see, that we believe, and we can only find those truths in the Bible. And there's a Proverbs, the book of wisdom, is a great place to start to find those truths, to understand our identity and who we're called to be, who we are in Christ. So that's one great place to start. Again, it's a book by Pastor Craig Rochelle called Winning the War in Your Mind. If you're interested in that book, or if you go to the church that I go to, and you're a man, we have a group there that will be going through that book again this coming up semester. Get with me, and I'll introduce you to the leader of that group. He's a great guy, and I think that you could learn a lot from it. So, jumping back into this, will be in. It continues to read on here. Because he is simple and young, his reservoir of wisdom and understanding is empty. He is the one who must, at all cost, get wisdom. And that's from Proverbs 4, chapter 4, verses 5 and 7. It reads, "Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Get wisdom, and in your getting, get understanding." That's Proverbs 4, 5 through 7. Young, inexperienced, and feather-brained, he is the very sort to need arming with borrowed wisdom. That's a quote by Kinder. It says he took the path, in the next verse, he took the path to her house. With his lack of wisdom and experience, this man was an easy target for the immoral woman. Under the cover of the black and dark night, he was foolish enough to pass along her street, then foolish enough to go near her corner. Soon he took the path to her house. It reads the black, and then, it talks about in that verse, the black and dark night. Foolish men think to hide themselves from God. Foolish men think to hide themselves from God by hiding God from themselves. And that's a quote by Trapp. And if we look on to verses 10 through 12, it talks about meeting the immoral woman. And those verses read, and you can see them here on the screen, "And there was a woman he met, or a woman met him, and there a woman met him. With the attire of a harlot and crafty heart, she was loud and rebellious. Her feet would not stay at home. At times she was outside, at times in the open square, lurking on every corner." And it goes on to look at that first verse. There a woman met him. And before he could actually reach her house, the immoral woman met him. She wasn't a prostitute, but she dressed like one, the attire of a harlot, and had the heart of one, a crafty heart. For her, sex was a transaction, not an experience of intimacy in marriage. And it goes on to say she was loud and rebellious. If the simple man cared to notice, this was not a woman of good and dignified character. Her heart or her body would not stay at home, but looked for love and satisfaction outside the home. Rebellious indicates her rebellion against propriety for a life of profligacy. The original meaning of the verbal root can still be recognized in the imaginary of the stubborn cow, Hosea 4:16, which reads, "For Israel is stubborn, like a stubborn calf, not the Lord. Now the Lord will let them forage like a lamb in open country. She, it goes on to say, she chafes at restraint, or she chafes at restraint, and revolts against the rules of proper society. And that's a quote by Waltke. And it says that lurking at every corner, her availability and willingness for sex excited the young man. She wasn't hard to find or arrange a meeting with. His wisdom and ability to resist temptation would be tested by the presence of a willing and available woman. And that's kind of a look at today, at the verses of today, verses 6 through 12. So give us a comment on what you think, what you thought. I know that as we go on, we'll find out that this woman is married and her husband is out of town, out of the area for a long time, and for like a month, I think is what it says, or something like that. So what is your thoughts? What is your takeaway from this? I know that we could also point this to the allure of pornography in men and the availability to get pornography nowadays, and how seductive that can be, and how that those habits can lead us away from our calling with God, and our calling to be the men we're supposed to be in our households. And it can set up generational curses that can lead on to our children and our children's children's, because of immoralities that we do today, can affect generations to come. So if you are struggling with that, if you are struggling with impurity, if you are struggling with anything like that, reach out to a pastor, reach out to a confident leader that you can trust, that you know can get you the help that you need. And just let them pour into you, and let them guide you, let them lead you, and take those steps that they put before you. And it doesn't work unless you take the steps to purify yourself. And if you have questions, reach out to us in the comment section here. Reach out to us on our Facebook page at JasonB812. We would love to get you the help and guide you to the help that you need. Thank you for being here this morning. We love you. Look forward to just sitting down in the Psalms with you tonight and going through that. So we'll see you then. Have a great day. Bye-bye.